Okay, I've been to the property appraiser's office and they showed the deal in 79. She advised me to go to the courthouse. So I went to the Duval County Jail. I'm sorry, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and I've got an information request here. Freedom of Information request. I have to do that online. I'll probably do that this afternoon for the Virginia Helm case of 1974. I want to get the records to see if any, since I rode with him, maybe there'll be something that'll pique my interest other than the red Volkswagen. So I did that, and then I went to the courthouse and had to park on the street. It's nerve wracking. So I've already spent $3.90, I guess. So I went in there and they researched and researched and researched, and they had to go to some kind of like microfiche, and they found a Charles Knowles, Knowles, who owned it when he sold it in August 8th, 1979. To go further back to see when the deed switched hands from Susan King, the mother, to Charles Knowles, I have to go through paperwork to see when he purchased it. But all in all, if they saw Bundy, it must have been prior to 78. Because if you think about a motel hotel, if Mr. Knowles bought it and tried to fix it up, contractors take 6 months or a year, and then you try to operate it. And so another year. So we're going back before 78. If you think about it, you don't just go into a motel, even the paperwork in a business like that probably take months to get it done. So when did he close on it? I'm going to go into the paperwork and see when he closed on it. I cannot contact Susan, Lisa, Lisa King, and Linda King. I have her Ludekin account. I have her on Facebook, and I put a message to her. I've written the other lady with Mark Woods gave me her email. I have her address. I'm going to send her a snail letter tomorrow and send it out to her address. I just want the year that they possibly saw him. And as far as closing on the house, on the motel, I can figure out when that was if I can, from the records. And it's been bothering me. Remember when Bundy was in Pensacola and said, "Well, guys, I guess I'm in charge of entertainment tonight." Well, I'm sorry. Debbie's mother was a maitre d' and an entertainer. That's what she did to support herself and the three daughters for some time. She played the organ, she played pop music, and she looked like Elizabeth Taylor. I don't mean she was a doppelganger. Okay, she could put the little white streak in her hair and wear empire jackets and leopard skin things and stuff way back in the 60s. You remember Richard Rich or something that did imitations? She used that as a draw. And she worked in the heart of Jacksonville. I also know she worked at Mayport. Did she play the organ at the Gator Inn, which was a highly political building at that time? Oh, I think Richard is coming. Richard Rosenberg. I'll see if it is him. He's got all them old cars. Yeah, it is Richard. He's still around. Okay, I got to say hey to him. Joe was my brother's friend. All right, bye. Is it running? Okay, yes. This is Mary again. I just got out of the courthouse. I got to get to my car before it runs out. This is a new nugget. This gentleman owned it before that conglomerate called JAI Coomber, whatever, in 1979. So this just shows that in 8879 he sold it. Charles Knowles sold it. Susan King, the mother, owned the property after her husband died in 1972. And Mark Wood's article says that the Gator Inn was sold a few years after his death. So it belonged to this man, and he was in the middle. I've got to come and do the paperwork someday. Come down and find out if I can find him and see when he purchased the deed. This is what we have so far. He sold it to an Arabic name company in 1979. I believe they're still family owned. But this Charles Knowles had it in between, which may place Bundy in Jacksonville prior to 78. Thank you. Still waiting to hear from Lisa and Linda. Bye. We're working on it. We're working on it here. We're in the Duval County Courthouse trying to see what the deed shows for Sam and Susan King. If it was sold sometime after 72, but before 79. If I can place Bundy in Jacksonville before 78, then we have some new information. Thank you. He's going through the record books to look for the old deed. Okay, we're in the property appraisers, the courthouse, Duval County Courthouse. I'm trying to find out if the house, the Gator Inn, was sold sometime after 72, but before 79. Cross your fingers, because I want to place Bundy here before then. Thank you. Okay, from the Sheriff's Office, I have information on how to obtain the record on the Virginia Helm, HELM case. You have to go online and do that. Freedom of Information Request, General Public. This is the Duval County Courthouse, which costs quite a bit. The property appraiser's records did not go back but till 79, and I want to see if the property at the Gator Inn was sold prior to 79. If it was sold before 78, then that places Bundy here before 78. It could be 68. You just drove up from Miami. Don't know. The place opened in 1963. The daughters were raised there until the father passed in 1972, and a few years later it was sold. Well, doesn't a few years later, 7 seems more than just a few years, but who knows, which would mean 78, which is just another loser thing. Still, I'll get the records on Virginia Helms because I have a different clue on it, that he did know how to use somebody else. Somebody else could use his Chevron card and apparently did. I think that one may be him. All right, here we go. Here to get a record on the Virginia Helm, HELM, 1974 August. Abduction of 5 girls, her case in particular. I may go to the courthouse and try to find the older records on the Gator Inn. The other sale, I'm sure there was another sale. Thank you. Okay, this is the police memorial building. Oh, wait a minute, I think it's running. Oh, it's running, I guess. Anyway, here we are. We're going in. There we go. Thank you. We'll go in and get a Freedom of Information paperwork. Okay, there's the county jail. I haven't been back in these areas since the 70s, basically. I don't want to go back on the reminder of that. Okay, so this is June 22nd, I guess. And we are headed to the Duval County Sheriff's Office, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, to find out what it takes to do a Freedom of Information report. I don't know if I'm going to stop by the courthouse to try to get the old property records or not. This parking here and there is getting to be kind of a hassle. You take your life in your hand. I've already walked my 3 miles, 3.25 actually. This is Shad Khan is building things here to renovate Jacksonville. At a cost of $2 billion, they want to renovate the stadium. I think the city's supposed to come up with about half of it. The city needs a lot of stuff. Okay, here we go. I may have to cross against traffic and jaywalk in front of the jail. Okay. My idea is get it far away from the traffic and then just get your ass on across, but I could be wrong. This is going to be the fire station memorial. All right, I'll let you know next. Okay, I'm down here at the USS Orlick parking lot, so I don't have to go through. It's not that I mind the $1.45. It's just that it's a hassle to try to do this. You have to go online. You have to put your tag number in, your zip code, your phone number, your email, and then it's $1.45, and you get 20. By the time you've done all that, you get like 30 minutes. The property appraiser's records do not go back far enough. If there was an additional sale before 1979, see, this is placing me here in 78 probably. Who knows? No word from the 2 sisters yet. I'm going to send them a snail letter. I'm going into the Duval County Jail Sheriff's Office to find out about Freedom of Information. I will return. That way I can get a Freedom of Information report on the Virginia Helms murder. Okay, thank you. Here we are, downtown, trying to get to the property appraiser's office. It was a hell of a thing just to get a parking place. It's all digital now. I'm going down here to the property appraiser's office and find out how many times, when with the first sale, they built the complex was completed in 1963. Mr. King, the father, died in 1972. They ran into Bundy. So I need to know when the home was sold. My sheet only went up. It was, 18, 19, 21, 1979. That seems more than a few years. somebody died in 72 and it was sold in a few years, don't you think 79 would be more than a few years? To me, a few years would be 74, 75, 76, maybe 77, but not 79. So that's where we're at now. Find out when the motel was sold. If it turns out it was a 1978 event, I'm going to be pissed off. My next stop is the sheriff's office to get a Freedom of Information report on the Virginia Helms homicide. Thank you. Okay, today is, I think, June 22nd, I guess, Thursday, I'm assuming, the 2023. This is Mary. I'm headed to the property appraiser's office to see how many times the Gator Lodge, Gator Inn was sold. My screen only comes up to 79, which means it may be a 1978 event. Maybe he went by there for some reason. Also, I'm considering going to the jail to get a Freedom of Information report on the 1974 abduction of Virginia Helms and any information what that will cost. Okay, property appraiser's office to see if the father died. Sam King died in 1972, and it said a few years later the hotel lot, Mark Woods wrote an article about it because he was walking across town. The daughters' names are Lisa, Lisa, King, King. She's a Democrat and is works for parent. I found their pictures. Her mother may even be alive. The daughter, one of the two, and then the other daughter is Susan Lisa, Lisa, King, and then Linda King, Lind. And I have her address, and I'm going to send her a snail mail. The messenger on Facebook is not contact her. The newspaper request for contact, and the next door neighbor, no contact. I've also emailed her at the email address that Mark Wood gave me. Nothing. They could be overseas or it could be some benign reason, but so far no contact with them to say when this event happened. The daughter who worked at Chamberlain Bookmine said, I was checking out with Ann Rule's book, The Stranger Beside Me, the last edition several years ago, and she said, oh, my mom met Ted Bundy. I said, what? She said, they were children. They grew up at the Gator Lodge on Phillips. My grandparents owned the Gator Inn, and that's where they met. It may have been 78, maybe try that as a motel too. I want to find out if it was 74 because he could be involved with the other abductions. Okay, thank you. Okay, Freedom of Information report and then the property appraiser's office so I can see deeper into the, it didn't go that far on the phone. I think there had to be another sale. A few years, if somebody died in 72 and then the motel was sold a few years later, don't you think 79 is more than a few years? That's 7 years. That's more than a few years in my mind. Okay, thank you.